Welcome, everyone, to the Ghiyam podcast. I'm so excited to talk about this week's energy and how to overcome feelings of heaviness, feelings of lack, feelings of doubts, or fears that may be coming up. There's a new way that I want to approach this topic because you might be feeling those feelings. I mean, we're always feeling those feelings because a normal day takes the progression of light and vessel. There's times of miracles and then times where you build the vessel for miracles. And in the building phase, it's usually a phase of darkness that you're experiencing, some kind of lack, some kind of pain, some kind of void. We're all going through it, but we will learn about the intensity of this week and specific tools that the sages have given to us in order to shift our consciousness immediately into the realm of miracles. Real quick, I want to talk about some of the things that we have coming up. I'll be in Chicago this Sunday and then in Miami for my first ever 2-day soulmate and relationship workshop. I have people flying in from all around the world. Space is limited for the Miami seminar because it's the week of Art Basel, so finding a bigger space was difficult. But we will be 400 people, 400 amazing souls from around the world, my first 2-day event ever, and that will be November 30th and December 1st. You can find out more information on my website. Also, what is exciting is our third journey together, 30 days to reaching our highest self, our most miraculous self, our self which has the most powerful consciousness of certainty. That starts on November 21st, and we will have 3 live webinars. We're going to go deep onto soul contracts and clearing out negative energy and pain from our past, and even some wisdom around reincarnation and how our souls came to be. I plan to go deeper on this journey, and your feedback has been incredible on how supportive you've been and how supported you feel when we're on these journeys together. We're expecting 20 to 30,000 people. We'll also have 3 global meditations, and every day I will give you a message via email about the energy of that day, mantra, a prayer, and a tool that you can use. As well, those of you on this journey do get free access to David AI, which has been incredible. And then brings me to my last thing I want to share. David AI has literally transformed lives all around the world. I think we're close to 6 million questions asked just in the last 3 to 4 weeks. People are telling me that they are using it as therapy in a way that in 1 hour of talking to David AI has been better for them than decades of therapy. I have couples who arbitrate disagreements, husband and wives, who talk to David AI, both of them, and David AI walks them through a solution. I have people who have back pain and neck pain, and David AI helps you understand what the soul root of those issues are. I had somebody tell me that she wasn't able to forgive her ex-husband after all these years, but after a 2-hour conversation with David AI, she realized the soul connection that she has to her ex and her daughter and was able to forgive her husband. I have hundreds of miracle stories that are pouring in every day. I want you to try it. You can use it on a pay what feels right basis. All of that can be found on my website, and I hope you enjoy that. Let's talk about the energy of this week. A lot of times when we're going through a problem, we feel compelled to fix the problem. We feel compelled to solve the problem. That feeling then causes us to talk about the problem, reach out to other people on how to solve the problem, look for solutions on the web, reach out to experts, and maybe even come to a podcast to maybe see if we can get a message about how to solve the problem. Whatever problem you're going through in your life, the sages also say, be careful not to fall into the trap of talking about the problem. There's a verse in the Holy Zohar, it was written 2,000 years ago, that it's a conversation between a few great sages, one of which is the author of the Zohar, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. And he begins to talk about a biblical story that involves a negative character. His name is Esau. Esau basically, the Bible is all code. The Old Testament is fully code for our soul. So this person, Esau, in the Bible, he represents all the negativity that a person can have in their life. All the negative traits was embodied in this person whose name is Esau. And as they were talking about the story of Esau, one of the sages, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, shares with his students, we shouldn't talk too much about Esau or talk too much about this story, but just enough to learn the lesson and move on. Because it is not good to dwell too much on negativity. What can we learn from this example? When a person thinks too much about their problems, when a person goes to therapy or coaching and is constantly talking about their problems, when a person is saying, hey, we need to communicate better, and you're always communicating about your problems, what you're also doing, potentially, is bringing strength to the problem. Because wherever your consciousness goes, energy flows. Even more so, wherever your words go, words are perhaps the most powerful vessel to hold energy, even more so than thoughts. Energy goes there. So what is the right balance of talking to someone about your problems versus focusing on what is good in your life, focusing on appreciation, focusing on what's working, not what is not working? Even with my own children, every time they bring up a problem, before we address the problem, maybe they're having a fight with each other. Maybe they don't like what they're eating. Maybe they're afraid and nervous about a basketball game coming up, and they're bringing this problem to me. One of the things that I'm always doing is I'm saying, well, my son will come to me and say, what if this goes wrong? Before I even address that question with him, I say to him, hey, what if it goes right? Have you thought of that? What if it all goes your way? Have you thought about that? What if all of these painful things are actually really positive? Have you thought about that? I make him at least think about how it could be great before we address how it could be or how it is bad. So, for example, if he's present in the moment fighting with his brother and he says it's bad and he feels hurt, before I even acknowledge the fight that they're having and come up with a solution for them, I ask him, hey, can you tell me one thing you love about your life? And I see his brain actually switch and it goes to another place. Now, sometimes he pulls me back to, well, I want to talk about this fight. And I say, I hear you, we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about this fight, tell me one thing you love about your life. Tell me one positive thing that happened today. And I tried this again this week. And he started to tell me something that he loves about his day and something that he really enjoyed. And then guess what happened? He totally forgot about the fight and he went on to play with his brother. Sometimes, though, they don't forget about the fight. But what happens when they speak about something positive is it changes their brain chemistry. But more importantly, it changes the energy of their soul to be able to access the vibration of the light, to actually come up with a solution. So I rather speak to my son about a solution to his problem after he says one positive thing or one sentence of appreciation, because then the gates will be open to receive the answer. Many times in our lives, we are trying to solve problems and we're banging our head against the wall. We are pushing and pushing and pushing, and we're pushing our wives and pushing our husbands and pushing our relationships and pushing our employees and pushing our friends and pushing ChatGPT and pushing our therapists and pushing, when the reason you're not getting the message, the reason why the universe isn't opening up and giving you your miracle, giving you your sustenance, giving you your clarity, is because you're coming too much from the vibration of lack. You're focusing too much on the problem. In fact, you become so needy of the solution. And how do I know I've reached that point when I feel drained? The moment you start feeling drained about your problem, step back and only focus on what is going on that is good in your life. Even if you have to look at the tea you're drinking or the coffee and say, I love this tea and coffee. I love that I have the opportunity to even drink tea or coffee. You know, I had this really powerful experience when I was giving a seminar in Tel Aviv a few weeks ago. I can't remember if I shared this story on the podcast or when I shared it, but it was the night before my seminar, and I've shared this with you before. I never go out on the night before a seminar. I like to stay home. I like to meditate. I like to go to bed early and try to feel the energy of the crowd that is coming. But without getting into the full details of how it happened, a friend said one of the hostages who was kept in captivity till the very, very end was just released out of the hospital, and he hasn't seen anyone, but they would like to come and have dinner and see you guys. And I'd probably say no to every type of situation, but on a soul level, something felt that I should have this dinner. And of course, they came over, and it was 2 hostages, but one of them who had just been released. So he hadn't even seen the world, really. He hadn't even been in public yet. And they didn't want him to be in public because it would be too much for him. Just wanted to be in a private setting. And he didn't even know who I was. He didn't know what the work I was doing, which I kind of liked. And we were just able to have candid conversation. And I said, what was it like? And he said, for 2 years, he said for over 700 days, he didn't see the sunlight. He was in a dark tunnel that was hot, and he's tall, so he couldn't even stand up straight. And he would eat half a pita bread a day, sometimes maybe a date or a little halva, he said, but half a pita a day. Now imagine 2 years being alone, being tortured, being agonized. And there's so many things that he shared of what actually happened. How would you feel if you were able to just even have a warm cup of coffee in a situation like that? How would you feel just being able to walk outside and breathe fresh air? Imagine 2 years. 2 years you don't see the sun. 2 years you're disoriented. 2 years you have to sleep in your own feces. Can you imagine just even having like a clean room? Can you imagine not having to sleep with worms and insects every day? Now, there are a lot of people in the world that are going through very painful, horrible things. Very, very painful, horrible things. And everyone has their own soul correction and soul process without getting too much into why everyone goes through what they go through. But right now, I am speaking to you. You've given your time graciously to listen. Why did the Creator put us together? What can we do at this moment to reveal light? And one of the things ever since I had that meeting is every time I start to feel drained, or every time I find myself focusing too much on what's wrong or what the problem is, I think about the half a pita. I literally look around me and I say, wow, I can see the sunlight. Wow, I can drink this clean glass of water right here. Wow, I have clean clothes. I am walking. I am literally walking, standing up straight, and I do not have to walk crouching for 2 years. And this isn't kind of a, hey, you should appreciate your life because look at all those who are suffering. Forget about that. Like that is altruism, but we want to see miracles. I'm sharing this story with you because changing our consciousness is actually what brings you miracles and what brings miracles to all the people who are suffering out there in the world. People always ask, what are we doing to help people who are suffering out there in the world? We are doing this. We are enjoying the half a pita and truly savoring every bite of it because we want to focus on the good. And when you do that, you bring light to other nations in the world. If you want to know how best to help populations who are starving, people who are going through war, people who are going through some of the worst pain imaginable, it starts right here with removing our personal darkness. And not only are you connecting to the collective consciousness and souls of the world and bringing light to them, and you should meditate on that with everything you do, all your spiritual work, the Zohar says you should be meditating in what's called the Shekhinah, which is a force that encompasses and encapsulates all the souls of this world, all religions, all faiths, all backgrounds, all cultures. So even when you drink water, you need to meditate that by drinking, you're sending energy to the collective souls of humanity. And what actually happens is you begin to elevate humanity. You begin to elevate countries out of their darkness. You begin to elevate your parents out of darkness. You begin to elevate your children out of darkness when you meditate on this glass of water and you feel and you taste it and you're like, wow, I can drink water. I feel so appreciative. So this isn't just about, you shouldn't complain. You live in a nice home or you live in the nice city and you have access to clean water. Don't complain. Forget about that. We're not here to forget about shaming people. Access the light of the moment. See the good. Focus on what you have. Your life will change. You will see miracles. You will be more attractive physically and spiritually because people are very attracted to people who see the good, and people are very unattracted and find ugly those who see the bad. People who complain are ugly. People who are disrespectful are ugly. People who are kind to wealthy, powerful people and unkind to the waiter or an assistant are ugly people. They actually become ugly. So much so that the sages say that those kind of people have a scent that smells, that a very high consciousness person could actually smell a bad smell, like a bad body odor. Can you imagine? You know what it's like when you smell someone who has BO, who hasn't taken a shower in days, who doesn't wear deodorant and is sweating. Have you ever smelled that before? Do you know what that smells like? Do you know that every time you complain and every time you're focusing on what's wrong, you have spiritual BO? You have spiritual BO. Everywhere you go, people may not put their finger on it. They don't know why it smells bad, but they're sensing an energy of spiritual BO that is coming from anybody who complains. Do you want to have spiritual BO? And you know what's worse than spiritual BO? It's people who have BO. BO is body odor, for those don't know. People who have BO and then they put cologne or perfume on their BO. Have you ever smelled that? Have you ever smelled somebody who hasn't showered for days, but they think it's okay to put cologne on their BO? So now you have BO fragranced with cologne. This is the way many people live a spiritual life. They're not dealing with the core consciousness, the actual smell, but maybe they're charitable, or maybe they're putting on a front of being spiritual, or maybe they're focused on being more religious. I know somebody, it's like somebody, imagine someone is not practicing your religion in the way you should, whether it's being Jewish or Christian or Catholic or Muslim or Hindu, and you see someone not following one of the traditions of your religion. So you start getting upset with them, or you yell at them, or you judge them, or you speak badly about them. Think about that for a moment. You think the Creator cares whether a person wears a yarmulke or not, or a person goes to church or not, or a person goes to temple or not, or a person prays in a mosque or not? From the Creator's point of view, all of those things I mentioned are tools given to mankind to become like the Creator, right? So in the Jewish faith, imagine, why does there's a tool that the Bible talks about that's called tefillin. For those of you who may or not know, there's these black straps that they tie on the left arm. If a person wears this because they think that now God likes them, or now they're in favor with God, they've actually totally disconnected from the true purpose of why it was given. If your soul came from a lineage that you are Jewish and you choose to follow this tool to connect your soul more to the light, I'll explain to you what the sages say about how to do that. And I'm not saying that this is a tool for everyone. I'm not saying that everyone even has to do this. But what I love to do is actually explain the spiritual meaning of what different religions originally meant in what they offered to those who were part of that religion, which is a very beautiful religion. This specific one, called the tefillin, it's a black box that goes here, black box that goes on your head, and then there's black straps and 2 black straps that come down here. Actually, the sage is saying, comes from Abraham, that the left side of the body represents the desire to receive. The right side of the body represents the desire to share. And the goal is that the sharing force binds and controls the selfish receiving force. We need to be receivers, but the problem is when we are focused too much on me, on what's wrong, on the lack, then you have destruction and chaos. So now what we're doing, when you bind that tool to your left hand, according to the sages, you are binding the internal energy of selfishness inside of your heart, and negative thoughts are being purified from your mind. And when you use this tool, you should meditate on how you can be better to act in a more giving way the moment you meet humans on the outside world. Now imagine you shame someone who is not using that tool, or you use the tool and then immediately you go speak evil speech about somebody. What was the point of the tool? What is the point of any religious or traditional tool that you use or garment that you wear if you're still not acting like the Creator? If you're still living in doubt and fear, if you're still living with hatred and anger, what is the point? The sages actually say, if you use these tools without the intention to transform yourself, the tool actually makes you more angry because you're drawing light, but you're pointing that light into your hatred, and your hatred actually gets more. This is why often people who do become more religious in whatever religion they do, if they don't have the spirituality, they actually become more angry. Have you noticed someone who all of a sudden follows a religion, but the religion isn't about transformation. It's about hey, I do these things. They actually become more impatient, judgmental, or angry. Now, I share this definitely not for anyone to be oh yeah, you're right, I'm going to go judge them. I want to share how energy flows. And I want all of us to be careful with how we use energy. The lesson here and the energy that's available this week, and if you really want to turn your life around, you can turn it around in the next 5 minutes. Don't see what's wrong. When you see something that you don't like at this moment, change it to a blessing. Change it to light. Focus on what can be good. Everything in your body, your mind, your chemistry will change for the better. Your spiritual attraction will elevate. Your aura will expand. Your body will start to heal. You'll elevate to the vibration of the Creator and access the realm of miracles, and the miracles will come into your life instantly. Isn't that what you want? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be with the light? If you want to be right, go argue all day long about what's wrong and how this is wrong and that's wrong and the government's wrong and the society's wrong and the religions are wrong and these people are wrong and my ex is wrong and my husband is wrong and my ex-wife is wrong and my kids are wrong and everyone's wrong, right? The Creator gave us the free will to choose darkness or light. So technically, everything you see has darkness and light. Everything. Even the most perfect human in this world, you will see 50-50 darkness and light. That means that it's your choice what energy you want to connect to. It's our choice. And I'll close with this. I was struggling with something yesterday. There was a challenge I was trying to overcome in my business. And I was hitting roadblock after roadblock. And all day long, I was trying to, how do I fix this challenge? I called people, I'm calling. And then I realized, okay, I've made my effort, because you got to make an effort. I made my effort. And then I reached that point where you know that point you start to get drained and a little reactive, and then you get frustrated. I knew as soon as I reached that point, now it's only about appreciation. Now I focus on every part of the business that is doing well. Now I focus on every part of the business that's everything's working out. Now I focus on all the parts of let's say there's employees or colleagues that are not listening, or at least I think they're not listening. Now I think about every good thing about them. And I shift my energy. And it's amazing. As soon as I shifted my energy, everybody on the other side agreed. And the problem was solved. It was like this incredible thing that as long as I was banging my head on the problem, nobody wanted to solve it, or they didn't know how to solve it. And as soon as I let go and I focused on what was good about everyone and good about the company and good about everything, the solution came. And I knew that this was the lesson that I needed to teach for this week's energy. So whatever you're going through, you have the strength, the power, especially the free will right now to shift to a new reality. Focus on the wholeness. Focus on the good. Let go of the lack. The Creator will come and show you the solution. Let's do a quick meditation to help us connect to this energy. Creator, as I start my day, I ask that you show me the miracle of life, the miracle of my body, miracle of my mind, the miracle of my breath. I ask to feel deeply the light that is in everything, in the water that I drink, and the food that I eat, in my partner, in my future partner, in my children, or my future children. I feel this deep gratitude and appreciation. So much so, I feel overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed with how much abundance I have. I feel overwhelmed with the amount of love that I have in my life. I feel overwhelmed with the amount of people who love me, care for me, who are watching over me. I don't have enemies. Everything is controlled by the light of the Creator. Even those who seem to be getting in my way, or who aren't listening to me, or who are disrespecting me, or who are trying to stop me from living the life I want to live. Even they are sent by the Creator to elevate me. There is no lack. There's nothing wrong, actually. This moment is whole and perfect. I visualize the entire world blanketed in this white light. Every pleasure I experience today is my choice. It is not something that is given to me, it's something that I create. And I bring this pleasure not just for myself, but to every soul in this world, every nation, so that there will be peace.